Ambassador Jin-Soo Park walked through the massive corridors of the Galactic Senate building. Her shoes clicked against the crystal floor as she carried a simple data pad. Today was supposed to be easy, just paperwork, just formalities. Earth was joining the galactic community officially, and she needed to submit the proper documents. The Senate chamber was enormous. Thousands of seats rose in circular tiers, each occupied by a different species. Some breathed methane through tubes. Others floated in gravity bubbles. A few looked almost human, while others defied description. Jin-Soo had been working here for 6 months, but the diversity still amazed her. She approached the central podium and bowed slightly. Honored senators, I present Earth's official documentation for the galactic records. The Senate clerk, a thin creature with 4 arms named Velmoth, accepted the datapad. Thank you, Ambassador. This is routine. We will process these documents and update our systems. Jin-Soo smiled and returned to her seat in the new members section. Her assistant, Dr. Minjun Kim, sat beside her reviewing notes on his tablet. That went well, he whispered. Too easy, Jin-Soo replied. I expected more questions. They waited as the Senate discussed other matters. Trade agreements, border disputes, resource allocation, standard governmental business that made Jin-Soo grateful for the translation implant in her ear. 2 hours later, everything changed. A Zellery linguist named Threnzik rushed into the chamber. The Zellery looked like walking crystals, and when they were agitated, they glowed with internal light. Threnzik was glowing very brightly. Honored Senate. Threnzik's voice cracked with urgency. I must interrupt. The human documentation requires immediate attention. Senator Korvan, a massive reptilian who led the session, frowned. Linguist Threnzik, this is highly irregular. What could possibly... The name? Threnzik held up a holographic display. The humans provided their planet's name in multiple languages as requested. But Earth is just a translation. A simplified version. When I examined their oldest languages, the actual names translate very differently. Jin-Soo felt confused. She leaned toward Minjun. What is he talking about? Minjun shrugged. No idea. Earth, Terra, Gaia, they all mean basically the same thing in our old languages. Threnzik continued, his crystal body pulsing with light. Their planet's name contains words that mean the proving ground, the crucible, the trial world, and the forge of testing. These are not poetic metaphors. These are the literal translations. The Senate chamber became very quiet. Senator Korvan's voice was careful. Linguist, many species have dramatic names for their homeworlds. This seems... Senator, please, allow me to finish. Threnzik brought up more displays. I found this curious, so I consulted with historian Melkor. There is a match in the ancient records. An old, floating creature drifted forward. Historian Melkor looked like a jellyfish made of light. Her voice was soft, but clear. In the archives of 17 different ancient civilizations, there are references to a legendary world, a planet so hostile that the universe itself seemed to use it as a test for life. They called it by many names, but all translate to similar concepts. Jin-Soo stood up. Excuse me, but I think there's been some confusion. Earth is just a normal planet. We have nice weather, seasons, rain. Several senators made choking sounds. Melkor turned her glowing form toward Jin-Soo. Ambassador, could you please state the coordinates of your homeworld? Jin-Soo recited the galactic coordinates from memory. She had memorized them months ago. Melkor checked her data. The historian's light dimmed to almost nothing, which Jin-Soo had learned meant shock in her species. The coordinates match perfectly. Earth is the legendary Death Forge world. The Senate chamber erupted in noise. Delegates shouted in hundreds of languages. Some stood. Others rushed toward exits. A few collapsed in their seats. Senator Korvan slammed his gavel. a heavy crystal block that cracked like thunder. When the noise subsided, he looked at Jin-Soo with an expression she couldn't read. "Ambassador Park, I am calling an emergency session. This Senate is suspended for 3 days while we investigate this matter. You and your delegation are confined to the diplomatic quarter. This is not an arrest, but a security precaution." Security? Jin-Soo felt anger rising. "Senator, with respect, I don't understand what's happening. Why does the etymology of our planet's name matter?" Commander He-Jin Lee, the military advisor, stood beside Jin-Soo. "It is not a threat, Commander," Senator Korvan said. "But we must verify certain historical records. If Earth is truly the Death Forge, then everything we understand about humanity must be re-evaluated." Jin-Soo wanted to argue, but she saw the fear in the Senate chamber. Real fear. Delegates were staring at her and her team like they were dangerous predators. "We will cooperate," Jin-Soo said carefully. "But I want answers. What is the Death Forge supposed to be?" Melkor drifted closer. "According to legend, it was a world where life should have been impossible. Extreme temperatures, violent geological activity, deadly solar radiation, aggressive predators, mass extinction events. The stories say that any species capable of evolving sentience on such a world would possess abilities beyond normal limits." Minjun laughed. "That's ridiculous. Earth is perfectly normal. Sure, we have some weather variation and occasional earthquakes, but..." The nearby delegates moved away from him. Jin-Soo felt a cold realization forming. What humans considered normal might not be normal at all. Senator Korvan stood. "This session is adjourned. Ambassador Park, please return to your quarters. We will summon you when we have more information." As Jin-Soo and her team left the chamber, she heard whispers following them, words in alien languages that her translator rendered as Death World, Apex Species, and Inevitable Conquerors. Back in their diplomatic suite, the 3 humans sat in confused silence. "What just happened?" Minjun asked. He-Jin checked her communication device. "I'm getting reports from Earth. Galactic news networks are exploding with stories about us. Stock markets across dozens of systems are crashing. Some species are evacuating planets near human space." Jin-Soo walked to the window overlooking the Senate Plaza. In the distance, she could see crowds gathering. Protests? Fear? She couldn't tell. "We need to understand what they think Earth is," Jin-Soo said quietly. "And we need to figure out why they're so afraid." Her communication device chimed. A message from Senator Korvan. "Emergency Senate archives opened to human delegation. Come immediately. Bring your full historical records of Earth." Jin-Soo looked at her team. "I think we're about to learn something very disturbing about our home." The Senate archives were underground, protected by layers of security and shielding. Jin-Soo, Minjun, and He-Jin followed historian Melkor through corridors lined with data storage systems from 1,000 different civilizations. "The archives contain records going back 4 million years, Melkor explained as she floated ahead of them. "When we heard the name of your world, I began searching for all references to the coordinates you provided." They entered a massive circular room. Holographic displays floated everywhere, showing text and images from countless worlds and time periods. "What did you find?" Jin-Soo asked. Melkor activated the first display. The oldest reference is from the Vikrel civilization, approximately 3 million years ago. They were one of the first spacefaring species in this region. The hologram showed insectoid creatures in primitive spacesuits standing on a cliff top. Behind them, Jin-Soo recognized the shape of mountains. Her breath caught. Is that the Grand Canyon?" "Yes," Melkor confirmed. "The Vikrel sent an expedition to survey suitable colony worlds. They landed on Earth. Their report is very short." Text appeared, translated into English. World designation: Vikrel 447 rejected for colonization. Extreme thermal variation, incompatible with colony infrastructure. Atmospheric oxygen levels, toxic. Gravitational field excessive. Survey team requesting immediate extraction. 2 members lost to native predators. Minjun stared at the text. They thought Earth's oxygen was toxic? For them, it was, Melkor said. The Vakrel breathed a methane-nitrogen mix. But Ambassador, that is not the disturbing part. Look at what they classified the predators as. Another image appeared. Jinsu saw a grainy picture of something moving through tall grass. It took her a moment to recognize it. That's a lion. They were killed by lions? No, Melkor corrected. The 2 Vakrel who died were killed by poisonous insects. What your species calls wasps. They classified the lions as apex predators beyond classification and noted them as an extreme threat level. But the Vakrel never got close enough for the lions to attack. Hyjin spoke quietly. They were afraid of lions from a distance but got killed by wasps. And if you do. And if you essa. Arconsto. They stapes, and if you do. Yes. Melkor moved to the next display. The next expedition was by the Thalen Collective, 1 million years later. They were a hardy species, adapted to high-gravity worlds. They thought they could colonize Earth. This hologram showed settlements, structures that looked like bunkers built into hillsides. They established 7 colonies in various climate zones. Melkor continued. All were abandoned within 5 years. Jinsu read the reports. The Thalen had tried to build on every continent. Each settlement failed for different reasons. Hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, wildfires, volcanic eruptions. One settlement simply reported winter as the cause of failure. They gave up because of winter? Minjun asked. Melkor displayed images from the failed settlement. It was located in what Jinsu recognized as somewhere in Canada or Russia. The temperature dropped to -40 degrees. Their equipment failed. Their crops died. 17 colonists died from what they called thermal death, which we would call freezing. But humans live in those regions. Jinsu said. Yes. Melkor's light pulsed. That is the point that is concerning the Senate. The historian moved through display after display. 6 more species had attempted to colonize Earth. Each failed. The reports painted a picture of a planet that seemed to actively resist colonization. One species tried to settle in the Amazon rainforest. They were overwhelmed by disease. The microscopic life on Earth attacked them in ways they couldn't defend against. Another species tried to build floating cities on the oceans. Their structures were destroyed by tsunamis and hurricanes. A crystalline species tried to establish colonies in deserts. They were successful for 20 years. Then an asteroid impact event triggered what they called an extinction cascade. Their reports spoke of a sky full of fire and dust that didn't settle for years. That was 65 million years ago, Minjun said softly. That was the impact that killed the dinosaurs. Melkor turned to face them. The crystalline species sent back data about the dominant life forms before they evacuated. Massive reptilian creatures, apex predators of tremendous size and ferocity. According to their projections, nothing should have survived the impact event. Complex life on Earth should have become extinct. But it didn't, Jinsu said. No. Life persisted. It adapted. It evolved. Melkor brought up the final display. The last official expedition to Earth was 100,000 years ago. The Tlani species landed to study why so many colonies had failed. They spent 50 years conducting research. The display showed detailed scientific data. Climate records, geological surveys, biological catalogs. What did they conclude? Hyjin asked. They concluded that Earth was a statistical impossibility, Melkor said. The planet has liquid water, which requires a narrow temperature range. Yet Earth's temperature varies wildly by location and season. The planet has active tectonics, which makes the surface unstable. The star provides dangerous radiation, but the planet's magnetic field is barely adequate to protect against it. The atmosphere is high in reactive oxygen. The gravity is higher than optimal. The planet experiences regular mass extinction events from various causes. Min-jun was reading through the Tlani data on his tablet. They calculated that the probability of complex intelligent life evolving on Earth was less than 0.0001%. Yes, Melkor agreed. They also noted something else. Every species that had attempted to colonize Earth had reported the same sensation that the planet was actively hostile, not through intent, but through the sheer accumulation of dangers. Jinsu felt strange. She was looking at her homeworld through alien eyes, and it appeared as a nightmare planet. They named it the Death Forge, Melkor continued. A place where life was forged through constant death, where only the strongest, most adaptable, most resilient organisms could survive. They theorized that if any species ever evolved to sentience on such a world, that species would possess capabilities far beyond the galactic norm. The three humans stood in silence. Finally, Heijin spoke. But we're not special. Melkor's light pulsed in what might have been amusement. Commander, please tell me, what is the gravity of Earth? 1 g. Heijin answered. Standard. The galactic average is 0.6 g. Earth's gravity is considered crushing by most species. Min-jun interrupted. Wait, but the Senate station has normal gravity. It feels like Earth. Yes, Melkor said. Because we increased the gravity to 1 g to accommodate humans. Most delegates wear gravity assistance devices now. Without them, they would struggle to stand. Jinsu remembered seeing some delegates with harnesses and belts. She had assumed they were ceremonial or medical devices. Melkor continued. What temperature range do humans consider comfortable? About 15 to 25 degrees Celsius, Jinsu answered. That is the entire comfortable range for 80% of galactic species. Your entire comfortable range. Most species can only tolerate a variation of 3 to 5 degrees from their optimal temperature. But Earth's temperature varies by 50 degrees or more depending on location and season, Min-jun said. Yes, and humans live comfortably in all those regions with minimal technological assistance. The implications were becoming clear. Jinsu felt dizzy. What else? Melkor brought up biological data. Humans heal from injuries that would be fatal to most species. Your bones are incredibly dense. Your muscles are efficient. You can run for hours without stopping. You can survive for weeks without food and days without water. Your immune system fights off diseases that would kill most galactic species within hours. But we get sick all the time, Min-jun protested. Yes, from Earth diseases, which are apparently more aggressive than diseases found on most other worlds. Heijin sat down heavily. You're saying that Earth made us into something dangerous. I am saying that Earth made you into survivors of the highest order, Melkor corrected. Whether that makes you dangerous is what the Senate must now determine. In a sealed chamber deep within the Senate complex, the Military and Intelligence Committee gathered in secret. 20 species were represented, each the security chief or military commander of their respective governments. General Thex Nor, of the Krill Dominion, stood at the head of the table. His species looked like bipedal lizards, and they were considered among the most militarily powerful in the galaxy. We must assess the threat level of humanity immediately. Threat level? Admiral Shenza of the Peaceful Coalition objected. Her species resembled upright dolphins with arms. The humans have been cooperative. They've shared technology. They've followed all diplomatic protocols. That may have been a deception. General Thex, Nor replied. They hid their world's true nature. They presented themselves as average, harmless. Now we discover they evolved on the Death Forge itself. A holographic analyst appeared, a sophisticated AI named Nexus 7. I have compiled all available data on human capabilities. The results are disturbing. The display showed human soldiers in training exercises. To galactic eyes, what they were doing looked impossible. These are standard human military personnel, Nexus 7 explained. Not enhanced. Not genetically modified. Simply trained humans. Observe their physical capabilities. The video showed humans running while carrying heavy equipment. They ran for kilometers without stopping. Then they climbed over walls, crawled through mud, and performed complex combat maneuvers. The weight they carry would crush most galactic species, Nexus 7 continued. The distance they run would cause cardiac failure in 70% of known species. They do this as basic training. Exodin. Another video played. Human soldiers in a desert environment. Training in extreme heat. Temperature. 45 degrees Celsius. Nexus 7 stated. Humans consider this uncomfortable, but survivable. Most galactic species would die within 1 hour at this temperature, without environmental suits. Admiral Shenza frowned. But humans use technology. They have vehicles, climate control, protective equipment. Yes, Nexus 7 agreed. But they function without these things. Observe this historical footage. The display showed ancient human warfare. Soldiers marching through snow, through deserts, through jungles, fighting in conditions that should have killed them. Throughout their history, humans have fought wars in every climate zone on their planet. They adapted. They survived. They conquered. General Thex Nor leaned forward. Show the psychological profile. Nexus 7 brought up new data. Human psychological resilience is unprecedented. They experience trauma, grief, and loss. Yet they continue functioning. Studies show that humans can adapt to almost any stressful situation given time. That's not unusual, someone objected. It is when compared to the severity of trauma they endure. Nexus 7 corrected. Humans have survived imprisonment, torture, loss of family, natural disasters, and personal injury that would cause permanent psychological damage to most species. Many humans recover and return to normal life. The committee members shifted uncomfortably. There's more. Nexus 7 continued. Humans have a unique psychological trait called stubbornness or determination. When faced with impossible situations, many humans refuse to give up. They continue trying even when logic says they should surrender. A video played showing human rescue workers digging through earthquake rubble for days, then footage of scientists working on problems for years, then athletes pushing their bodies past normal limits. This is their nature, Nexus 7 concluded. Earth taught them that survival requires constant effort. They apply this lesson to everything. General Thex Nor turned to the committee. We must also consider their consumption habits. Another delegate, a fungal being named Spore Counselor Mixtal, activated a new display. Humans consume substances that are toxic to most galactic life. They do this recreationally. The display showed humans drinking coffee, tea, and alcohol, eating chocolate, consuming spices. Caffeine is a powerful stimulant, Mixtal explained. Most species use it as a pharmaceutical in controlled doses. Humans drink it multiple times per day for enjoyment. Alcohol is literally poison. Another delegate added. Humans consume it socially. Their bodies have evolved to process it, though it still causes them damage. Capsaicin, the chemical in spicy foods, triggers pain receptors. Mixtal continued. It is a plant defense mechanism. Humans eat it because they enjoy the sensation of pain. The committee sat in stunned silence. Admiral Shenza spoke quietly. I had coffee with Ambassador Park last week. She offered me some. I declined because I assumed it was too strong for my species. She drank 3 cups during our meeting and called it cutting back. I witnessed Dr. Kim eating something called hot wings in the cafeteria, another delegate added. His face turned red. His eyes watered. He was clearly in distress. When I asked if he needed medical attention, he said he was fine, and ordered more. General Thexnor's expression was grim. The humans don't realize they're unusual. To them, all of this is normal. Because it is normal, Nexus 7 stated. For a species from Earth, that is the critical point. Humans have no frame of reference for how extreme their abilities are. If you ping 7-2, because it is normal, the committee began arguing. Some wanted to quarantine human space immediately. Others suggested building defensive positions along human borders. A few proposed recruiting humans as soldiers or mercenaries. Stop, Admiral Shenza said firmly. We are discussing humans as if they are weapons. They are people. They have families. They create art. They laugh and cry and dream. They are dangerous people, General Thexnor countered. Even if they don't intend to be. A new voice entered the discussion. Senator Corvan entered the chamber. I have been listening to this debate. You are all missing the most important question. What question? General Thexnor asked. Do humans know how dangerous they are? And more importantly, what will they do when they find out? Oh. The committee fell silent. Senator Corvan continued. We have three choices. First, we can treat them as threats and prepare for war. This will likely become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Second, we can try to contain them through diplomacy and restrictions. This will breed resentment. Third, we can be honest with them and hope they choose to use their capabilities responsibly. The third option is naive, General Thexnor said. Perhaps, Senator Corvan agreed. But consider this. Humans evolved on a death world. Yet they did not become conquerors. They reached space and chose diplomacy. They encountered other species and sought friendship. Earth made them capable of violence, but they choose cooperation. That choice matters. Admiral Shenza nodded. The senator is right. We should judge humans by their actions, not their potential. Their actions are limited by their ignorance of their own strength, General Thexnor argued. What happens when they realize they could dominate the galaxy? Then we must ensure they understand why they should choose not to, Senator Corvan said. Outside the secure chamber, information was already leaking. Galactic news networks were running continuous coverage. Death world, humans among us. Earth, the planet that should not be. Are humans the next galactic threat? Stock markets were crashing. Species living near human space were requesting military protection. Some governments were quietly moving fleets into defensive positions. In the human delegation quarters, Jinsu, Minjun, and Haijin were watching the news with growing alarm. They're afraid of us, Minjun said. They're actually afraid. Haijin checked her secure communications. Earth is worried. The president wants to know if we're safe. Some senators back home are calling for military mobilization. No, Jinsu said firmly. We can't respond with force. That will confirm their fears. Then, what do we do? Minjun asked. Jinsu's communication device chimed. A message from Senator Corvan. Ambassador Park. You are requested to address the full Galactic Senate tomorrow. Prepare to answer questions about Earth and humanity's intentions. The future of galactic-human relations depends on this address. Jinsu looked at her team. We tell them the truth. We explain who we really are. What if the truth scares them more? Heejin asked. Then we make them understand that being strong doesn't mean being cruel, Jinsu replied. Earth taught us to survive. It's time to show them that it also taught us to protect. The Senate chamber was completely full. Every seat was occupied. Representatives from over 3,000 species watched as Ambassador Jinsu Park walked to the central podium. The silence was absolute. Jinsu wore a simple formal suit. No weapons. No armor. No threatening displays. She looked small and alone in the massive chamber, which was exactly the impression she wanted to give. Senator Corvan spoke first. Ambassador Park, You stand before this Senate to address concerns about your species and your homeworld. We will ask questions. You will answer honestly. Do you agree to these terms? I do, Jinsu replied. Her voice was calm and steady. First question, Senator Corvan continued. Were you aware that Earth is the legendary Deathforge world? No, Senator. We had no idea. To us, Earth is simply home. We have no frame of reference to understand how it compares to other worlds. A senator from the Valkyrie species stood. He looked like a floating sphere of water. Is it true that humans evolved by hunting prey to exhaustion? By chasing animals until they collapsed from fatigue? Jinsu nodded. Yes. It's called persistence hunting. Our ancestors would track prey for hours or even days. We can regulate our body temperature through sweating, which allows us to run longer than most animals on Earth. Several senators made sounds of distress. Another senator stood. This one was from a species called the Thren, crystalline beings like Threnzik. Is it true that when human bones break, they heal stronger than before? Yes, Jinsu confirmed. The bone tissue forms a callus at the break point. When it heals, that area is reinforced. It's an evolutionary adaptation. So humans become more durable when injured? The Thren senator asked. In some ways, yes. But Senator, we also feel pain. We suffer. We grieve when injured. Just because we heal doesn't mean we enjoy being hurt. A small senator from a rabbit-like species stood nervously. Ambassador, I have read that humans consume ethanol recreationally. Ethanol is used in fuel and industrial processes on my world. How is this possible? Jinsu smiled gently. We call it alcohol. Our livers can process it in moderate amounts. Yes, we drink it socially, but it does affect us. We become less coordinated. It can damage our health if consumed in excess. We're not immune to it. But you choose to consume poison for fun? The senator asked, bewildered. When you put it that way, it does sound strange, Jinsu admitted. But many species have what you might consider odd cultural practices. We don't judge you for yours. We hope you won't judge us for ours. General Thexnor stood. His large form was intimidating even across the chamber. Ambassador, what is the standard gravity of Earth? 1G, General. And you consider this normal? It's all we've ever known. Are you aware that this chamber's gravity was increased to accommodate humans? That most delegates now wear assistance devices to move comfortably? Jinsu felt shock. She looked around the chamber and noticed for the first time that many delegates were wearing harnesses and supports. No, General. I wasn't aware. I apologize if we caused discomfort. You didn't cause it intentionally, General Thexnor said. That is the point. You don't know how different you are. An elderly senator from a peaceful herbivore species stood slowly. Her name was Grandmother Nyx Era, and she was respected across the galaxy. Ambassador Park, I have a question that I believe is most important. Yes, Grandmother? What do humans call a world that is easy to live on? Jinsu paused. She thought carefully before answering. We call it paradise or Eden. These are religious concepts from our ancient stories. Places of perfect peace and abundance. Do such places exist? Grandmother Nyxera asked. Honestly, we're not sure. Every world we've studied has challenges. Extreme temperatures, or high radiation, or dangerous geology. Even Earth has deserts, frozen wastelands, and deadly storms. We've learned to adapt to different environments, but nowhere is truly easy. Jinsu paused, then continued. Grandmother, I think I understand your question now. You want to know if what we consider normal matches what you consider normal. Yes, child. Then I must tell you honestly. I don't know. Until this week, I thought Earth was ordinary. I thought humans were average. Now I'm learning that we're not. But Grandmother, that doesn't change who we are inside. Explain, Grandmother Nyxara said softly. Jinsu took a deep breath. Earth is harsh. You've shown me records of species that tried to colonize our world and failed. You've explained how our gravity, our temperature variations, our weather patterns, our predators, all of it, is extreme by galactic standards. I believe you. But here's what you need to understand. Earth didn't just make us strong. It made us adaptable. It made us cooperative. It made us protective. She walked closer to the edge of the podium. Humans survive on Earth by working together. One human alone would die quickly. But a group of humans, supporting each other, sharing resources, protecting each other, they can survive anything. Earth taught us that we need each other. Admiral Shenza stood. But Ambassador, your history is full of wars. Humans have fought each other constantly. 2000. Quote, yes. Jinsu admitted. We have. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. We've hurt each other, and our world. But we've also learned from those mistakes. We've built systems to prevent war. We've created laws to protect the weak. We've developed medicine to heal the sick. We've made art to inspire hope. She looked around the chamber. Earth made us survivors, but we chose what kind of survivors to be. We could have become conquerors. We could have used our strength to dominate. But we didn't. When we reached space and found other species, we chose diplomacy. We chose friendship. Because you were alone, General Thexnor said. One species among thousands. Now you know you're stronger. What will you choose now? This was the critical moment. Jinsu knew her next words would shape human galactic relations for generations. General, imagine you have a young child who doesn't know their own strength. They hug you too hard and it hurts. Do you fear that child? Do you assume they will become violent? No, General Thexnor said slowly. I teach them to be gentle. Exactly. And that's what we're asking for. Teach us. Help us understand how our actions affect others. We don't want to cause harm, but we can't adjust if we don't know what's wrong. Jinsu continued. You've spent days analyzing human strength. Let me tell you about human weakness. We love deeply, which means we can be hurt emotionally. We trust easily, which means we can be betrayed. We hope constantly, which means we can be disappointed. We feel empathy for others, which means we suffer when others suffer. These sound like weaknesses, someone said. They are, Jinsu agreed. But they're also why you shouldn't fear us. A species that feels empathy doesn't want to cause pain. A species that values trust doesn't want to betray others. A species that loves deeply doesn't want to destroy. Grandmother Nyx Era spoke again. Ambassador Park, what does humanity want from this galaxy? Jinsu answered from her heart. We want what everyone wants. Safety for our families. Friends who accept us. The chance to contribute something meaningful. The opportunity to learn and grow. We want to explore. We want to discover. We want to help. Help? General Thexnor asked skeptically. Yes. Earth made us strong. Let us use that strength to protect those who need protection. Earth made us adaptable. Let us help other species colonize worlds you thought were too harsh. Earth made us resilient. Let us be there when disasters strike, when crises emerge, when someone needs help surviving the impossible. Jinsu's voice grew stronger. You discovered that Earth's name means the proving ground. Maybe that's true. Maybe Earth was testing us. And maybe, just maybe, the test wasn't about becoming the strongest. Maybe it was about becoming strong enough to protect others instead of ourselves. The chamber was completely silent. Senator Corvan stood. Ambassador Park, humanity is asking to be trusted with great responsibility. End quote. No, Senator, Jinsu corrected gently. Humanity is offering to accept great responsibility. There's a difference. What difference? He asked. Being trusted implies you have something to prove. Accepting responsibility means you've already decided who you want to be. Jinsu looked around at thousands of faces. Earth taught us to survive. But you can teach us why we survived. Help us understand our place in the galaxy. Give us purpose. Let us earn your trust through actions, not words. She bowed deeply. That is humanity's address to this Senate. We are who we are. We offer what we have. The choice of what happens next belongs to all of us together. 3 months had passed since Jinsu's address to the Galactic Senate. The decision had taken weeks of debate. But finally it came. Humanity was granted full membership with a new designation. Wardens of the Galactic Peace. Jinsu stood in her new office overlooking the Senate Plaza. The view had changed. Where there had been protests and fear, now there were humans working alongside aliens in the gardens below. Not many yet, but it was a start. Her communication device showed 3 different meetings happening across the galaxy. She could monitor all of them from here. The first screen showed Minjun at a scientific conference on Velkar Prime. He stood before a gathering of alien scientists, explaining Earth's geological systems. The key is understanding that instability isn't always bad, Minjun was saying. Earth's active tectonics create volcanic soil that's incredibly fertile. The planet recycles its surface, which maintains the carbon cycle. What seems destructive is actually creative in the long term. An alien scientist, a floating jellyfish-like being, asked a question. Dr. Kim, can these principles help us colonize worlds we previously thought too geologically active? Absolutely, Minjun replied. We've been sharing the technology humans developed to build on fault lines, near volcanoes, in unstable areas. With the right engineering, what you see as dangerous becomes merely challenging. Another scientist asked, but aren't you concerned about sharing these techniques? Won't other species use them to expand into territory humans might want? Makand. Minjun looked confused. Why would we want to keep useful information secret? If we can help other species thrive, that's good for everyone. Earth has enough problems without worrying about cosmic competition. The gathered scientists seemed surprised by this attitude. They weren't used to sharing critical technology so freely. Jinsu smiled and switched to the second screen. This one showed Commander Hae-Jin Lee at a military training facility on the border world of Krenthor. Hae-Jin stood with a mixed unit of soldiers from 6 different species. They were practicing disaster response scenarios. A simulated earthquake had trapped civilians in collapsed buildings. The teams had to work together to rescue them. Remember, Hae-Jin called out. Speed matters, but safety matters more. Don't risk your team trying to be heroes. Humans might be able to lift heavier debris, but that doesn't mean we should work alone. Tivek, your species has better hearing. You locate survivors. Humans will do the heavy lifting. Kren, your species can squeeze into smaller spaces. You'll reach trapped civilians we can't access. Jinsu watched as the mixed teams worked efficiently. The soldiers were learning to combine their different abilities rather than compete with them. After the exercise, a young Kren soldier approached Hae-Jin nervously. Commander, may I ask a question? Of course. Why do humans volunteer for the most dangerous rescue positions? You always go into the unstable areas first. Hae-Jin smiled. Because, if something collapses, we're more likely to survive it. That's not bravery, soldier. That's just practical. Why would I send you into danger if I'm better equipped to handle it? But you could be injured. The soldier protested. So could you. The difference is, I'll probably heal better. Look, my job isn't to be brave. It's to make sure everyone goes home to their families. If that means I take some extra risks because I can handle them, that's just common sense. The young soldier looked at Hae-Jin with something like awe. Jinsu understood. The galaxy was learning that human strength wasn't about domination. It was about protection. She switched to the third screen. This one showed a colony world called New Haven. 6 months ago, New Haven had been struck by a massive solar flare that destroyed most of their technology and agriculture. The colony had been dying. Now, Jinsu watched as human agricultural specialists worked with local Thren farmers. Humans were teaching Thren about crop rotation and soil management adapted from Earth's harsh climates. One of the human specialists, a woman named Sarah Chen, was explaining to a group of young Thren, "On Earth, we have places where the soil is dead, too acidic or too alkaline, but we learn to fix it. Add the right minerals, introduce the right bacteria, and give it time. Life finds a way, if you give it a chance," a young Thren asked. "But why do humans help us? Your government must spend enormous resources sending people and supplies to failed colonies." Sarah looked surprised. "Why wouldn't we help? You needed help. We could provide it. That's enough reason. But you gain nothing," the Thren insisted. "We gain friends," Sarah said simply. "We gain the knowledge that when we need help, maybe you'll remember this. We gain the satisfaction of doing something meaningful. Besides, Earth taught us that communities survive and individuals don't. You're part of our community now." Jinsu felt proud watching these scenes. The galaxy had feared humans would be conquerors. Instead, humans were becoming something else. Guardians, teachers, helpers. But not everyone was happy with the new arrangement. Her communication device chimed with an alert. A radical group called the Purity Alliance had attacked a human-protected colony. They believed humans were secretly planning to take over the galaxy, and this attack was meant to expose human violence. Jinsu immediately connected to the emergency response channel. She saw the footage from the colony. The Purity Alliance had bombed a civilian shelter, killing 17 people and injuring dozens more. 3 species had died in the attack, including 2 humans. Human security forces had responded quickly. They'd cornered the attackers in a warehouse district. Jinsu held her breath, worried about what would happen next. The human commander on site, Captain Liu, was communicating with the attackers. "This is Captain Liu, of the Warden Forces. You're surrounded. Release any hostages and surrender peacefully. We'll kill the hostages if you come closer," the leader shouted back. "This will prove humans are violent killers." Captain Liu was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that Jinsu would never forget. "You already killed 17 innocent people. That proves you're killers. If we kill you now, it proves nothing except that violence creates more violence. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to wait. We're going to keep civilians safe. And we're going to give you the chance to make a better choice than the one you made when you planted that bomb." "You're weak," the attacker shouted. "Maybe," Captain Liu agreed. "Or maybe we're just tired of funerals. Your choice, friend. But we've got time. We've got supplies. We've got patience. Earth taught us patience. You can sit in there and think about why you're really doing this, and when you're ready, we'll talk." The standoff lasted for 16 hours. Jinsu watched as human forces maintained their positions without aggression. They brought in negotiators. They brought in food and water for the attackers. They brought in religious leaders from the attackers' own species to talk them down. Finally, the attackers surrendered. No additional shots were fired. No one else died. The galactic media coverage was extensive. Many species who had feared human violence saw something different. They saw restraint. They saw mercy. They saw humans choosing the harder path because it was the right path. Senator Korvan visited Jinsu's office the next day. "That could have gone very differently," he said. "Yes," Jinsu agreed. "Captain Liu could have stormed the warehouse. Humans are certainly capable of it. But that's not who we choose to be. Even when attacked, especially when attacked. It's easy to be peaceful when no one tests you. It's harder to choose peace when you're angry and hurt, and you have the power to hurt back. That choice is what matters. Senator Corvan settled into a chair. The galaxy is learning about humans. Some are still afraid. Some are becoming allies. Most are simply watching to see what you'll do next. C. R. R. What do you think we'll do? Jinsu asked. I think you'll keep surprising us, the senator said. I think Earth made you capable of great violence. But somewhere in your evolution, you learned that survival isn't just about being the strongest. It's about being the most cooperative. Earth taught us well, Jinsu said. Every human knows that nature can kill us easily. Earthquakes, storms, disease. We survived by helping each other. That lesson stuck. A message appeared on Jinsu's display. It was a request from a small colony called Bitter Hope. They were trying to survive on a high-gravity world with extreme weather. They'd heard humans were good at surviving harsh worlds. They wanted help. Jinsu showed the message to Senator Corvan. Another colony that needs assistance. This will be the 15th world we're helping colonize. Your resources must be stretched thin, the senator observed. Yes, but we manage. Other species are starting to help too. The Thren are sharing their technology. The Velkari are providing supplies. Admiral Shenza's people are offering transport. It's becoming a cooperative effort. Because you started it, Senator Corvan said. You showed the galaxy that strength can be used to lift others instead of pushing them down. 6 months later, Jinsu stood at the dedication of a memorial on the Senate Plaza. The memorial was a simple structure made from stones taken from thousands of different worlds, including Earth. The inscription read, "To the children of harsh worlds who chose kindness. To those born strong who chose gentleness. To the survivors who chose to help others survive. May we remember that power is measured not by what we can destroy, but by what we choose to protect." Jinsu stood with Minjun and Haijin as delegates from across the galaxy gathered for the ceremony. A small Velkari child approached them, holding a drawing she'd made. It showed humans and aliens holding hands. Jinsu knelt down to the child's level. This is beautiful. Thank you. Are you really from a death world? The child asked. Yes, I suppose we are. And you're really strong? Compared to some species, yes. The child thought about this. But you're nice, Jinsu smiled. We try to be. Being strong doesn't mean you have to be mean. Earth taught us that. As the ceremony concluded, Jinsu looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, the planet that had forged humanity through endless challenges, the world that seemed designed to test life at every turn. But Earth hadn't just made humans strong. It had made them understand the value of cooperation, the necessity of compassion, and the importance of protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. The galaxy had feared Earth's name. The Death Forge, the Crucible, the Proving Ground. But now they were learning what humanity had always known. Earth hadn't been testing whether humans could survive. It had been testing whether they would choose to help others survive too. And humanity had passed that test not by conquering the galaxy, but by teaching the galaxy that survival was better when everyone survived together. Jinsu thought about the phrase that was becoming popular across human space. It had started as a joke, but had become something more meaningful. Earth tried to kill us, so we learned to protect everyone else. That, she decided, was a legacy worth having. Earth had made them strong. The galaxy was teaching them why that strength mattered. And together, they were building something better than either could have created alone. The memorial dedication ended. Delegates returned to their work. The galaxy continued turning, and humans continued doing what Earth had taught them to do. They adapted. They persevered. They protected. And most importantly, they chose kindness, even when they had the power to choose otherwise. Because that's what it meant to be children of Earth. Not conquerors from a death world, but guardians forged by adversity, who remembered what it was like to need help surviving, and who would never let others face that struggle alone.